What's up everybody, Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So, last week I tried the new mic placement and it was a mixed response. Some said that it seemed like it sounded okay, others said they definitely noticed a decrease in quality. I myself also noticed a slight decrease in the clarity of the audio, just because it was further away, so I had to amp up the volume of it on my editing a little bit more. And so I think I'm just going to continue with the old style of just putting it here in front of me instead, and hopefully it's not too much of a distraction for those of you that found an issue with it. So anyway, I'm just going to dive right into the news this week. Lots of interesting rumors and things, less concrete stuff this week. But anyway, the first interesting rumor is about the 2020 Ford Bronco. Now, Ford back in Detroit in January officially confirmed they're bringing back the Ford Bronco. It'll be arriving in 2020, and that's the thing. So the rumors since then have been all over the place about what this thing's going to be, because a few months ago there was a supposed insider at Ford that said that it was basically just going to be a badge job on the Ford Everest, which is in other markets of the world. We don't get it here in the States, and so it was just going to be an Everest with Bronco badges on it, and that left a lot of people really disappointed, because that would make it more of like a Toyota 4Runner competitor than an actual like Jeep Wrangler type thing, which is like the original spirit of the original Bronco. So, you know, a lot of people were disappointed. Then, so the new rumor this week, there have been reports that have said it's going to be a Wrangler fighter, and that's the direction they're going. The latest rumor is agreeing with that and saying it will be a Wrangler fighter, it won't be a Everest badge job. And so anyway, this report comes from Gear Patrol, who cites an anonymous Ford engineer that's closely involved with the project, supposedly. And this engineer here is saying that the car is currently in its third design phase, which they say, you know, usually you don't have that many design phases. They say they're really struggling with how to design the vehicle, because they said that they just commissioned another design study because they say that it almost looks too much like a Wrangler, supposedly. So again, two extremes here. So I mean, it's really flip a coin of which way this thing's gonna go. But they say, according to this guy, it sounds like it looks a lot like a Wrangler, and he actually noted that it kind of looks similar to a newer version of the Ford Troller, I guess, which is something that's sold in Brazil. But this insider has said that it would be a 4-door vehicle only. They don't see enough of a market for a 2-door version. So those of you that love the 2-door Wrangler, looks like that's what you're going to be stuck with, because it doesn't seem like Ford is going to offer a 2-door competitor, just a 4-door, and they're going to be benchmarking it with the Wrangler Unlimited and all that kind of stuff. So they also say it's going to have a removable modular roof as well that comes off in 3 different sections, and they want it to basically be comparable to the Wrangler in every way possible except for rock crawling, because I think they're going to make it a little softer than a Wrangler, which might just sink it on its own, since everyone loves the fact that the Wrangler can do anything, even if they don't actually do anything with it. It's just that's kind of the mentality and the marketing people buy into. Anyway, some other interesting details this person gave about supposed engines and whatnot. They say it would be running a 2-liter or 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6, similar to the one in the Fusion Sport, which does about 325 horsepower. And again, that sounds high for a crossover, especially one that's competing with the Wrangler. That would make it much faster for sure. I could see something like a 2-liter turbo motor or something going in there instead, you know, 4-cylinder, but maybe that's a top-of-the-line engine. And they say that a hybrid variant is also possible, and I would basically count on a hybrid variant. If they're putting a hybrid in the Mustang for 2021, I mean, you can safely assume that they're certainly going to do it for the Bronco as well, because the Mustang is like the last thing you would think they would want to put a hybrid in, and they're doing that because Ford's trying to be super progressive and futuristic with their powertrains here. So I would bet on a hybrid at some point as well. And they say they're also aiming for $30,000 as the rough price estimate for this vehicle when it does arrive in 2020. But I don't know. I feel like this has if it isn't a rebadge and it is an actual completely new thing with new styling, I have a feeling that could even get pushed back. If they haven't even decided on the styling yet, you know, I think that it would certainly push back the car a lot. I know they want to rush it out because, you know, they're probably getting sick to their stomachs seeing all these Jeep Wrangler sales, but I don't know. I mean, usually like with Mustangs in the past, like I think they locked in the styling for the 2018 Mustang back in like early 2015. So you're talking 3 years away. just for locking in the styling on these cars. So, you know, if you lock in the styling now, I guess that means it could be ready by 2020 still, but they're getting down to the wire. If they're still doing design studies and, you know, asking people, hey, what do you think about this design and stuff, it seems like it may end up getting pushed back. But honestly, I think they're better off pushing it back and delaying the vehicle than hurrying up and rushing out some rebadged Everest and soiling the newly resurrected Bronco name. So just my take on it. Anyway, interesting rumor there. Another more far-fetched rumor is about there's a bunch of Asian media outlets that are claiming that a Mazda RX-9 is going to be shown at the Tokyo Motor Show in October, which again is a far-fetched thing. Mazda has officially denied they're working on any kind of sports car larger than the Miata, although they have confirmed they're doing a high-performance rotary engine, but then they've said, well, that's for other stuff or hybrid stuff. They're being really cagey about the whole thing, kind of go back and forth. So maybe that's a good sign they actually are working on something, or maybe they actually are telling the truth and they're not doing anything. So again, this is a popular rumor. It helps to sell magazines, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's false, but interesting nonetheless. Another interesting thing was AutoGuide has uncovered more patent images of this baby NSX that some are calling the ZSX, since that name's been trademarked by Honda since like 2009, but they haven't done anything with it. Anyway, these new patent images are a little more clearer than the ones we saw last year, and these ones don't have a roof on it, but that probably doesn't mean it's a convertible. It's probably just to show the interior of the vehicle, because it also doesn't even have a windshield or A-pillars or anything, and I highly doubt that's the way they would actually, you know, show the concept, unless it's a really crazy race car type of thing and not something they plan to, you know, show close to production form. The interesting thing though about that interior is, although the steering wheel and seats look a little spacey for something you would see in a production car, the center console does look like straight out of the NSX. So it doesn't look that far off from production, you know, as far as the interior and stuff goes. So we'll just have to wait and see what ends up happening and whether they show that at the Tokyo Motor Show. I mean, all the Asian manufacturers, that's going to be the place where you'll probably see this stuff if they do decide to show this stuff. Same with the Toyota Supra, the new one. If everyone's been wondering when that's going to arrive, my bet is Tokyo Motor Show, because they want to release it in their home court, you know, and have everything, you know, all that's just, it makes the most sense. So we'll just have to wait and see. October is going to be very interesting at that show to see what actually materializes and what turns out to be false. But anyway, interesting to see that. A car that was officially shown this week was the brand new 2018 Buick Regal GS. So we've already seen the new standard Regal, which is also going to be the Holden Commodore over in Australia, which is really upsetting. You know, they're ditching the Chevy SS awesome platform that was originally, you know, from Holden, the Commodore there, rear-wheel drive V8. Now it's just these turbo 4-cylinders and all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive. So really a bummer in that context. But then when you consider this new Regal GS here, now the previous Regal GS we got you know, in the States here, that one was again just a rebadged Opel kind of deal, and that had you know, a turbo 4-cylinder engine. This one they're going naturally aspirated here for. So the 2018 Buick Regal GS, by the way, looks fantastic to me. I think they did a really good job with the styling. The new Regals are beautiful to begin with, but with the GS it really looks awesome. Anyway, they come standard with all-wheel drive and a 310 horsepower naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6. It's the same one you see in a lot of other GM stuff. You know, the LaCrosse, I mean, even the Chevy Colorado, the Camaro, all that kind of stuff. So 310 horsepower in this application, 282 pound-feet of torque, and it is all going through a 9-speed automatic transmission, which interestingly does not have paddle shifters. They said they deliberately left that out because they did surveys or whatever, and they said that no one actually used the paddle shifters in the last Regal GS. So they're like, why are we including this if no one uses it? Which, I mean, it still would be nice, because I feel like there are at least some people that use those. So, you know, for those of us that are real enthusiasts that like shifting ourselves, I think that's going to be a sore exclusion, but still, you know, shouldn't be a big deal. These 9-speeds are pretty intelligent with their shifting. Anyway, other details here. The all-wheel drive system has a twin-clutch setup that's specifically tuned for the GS here. It has the 2nd-gen continuous damping control as well, and it also gets some big Brembo brakes up front there, which is awesome. And as far as the interior, we just have one shot of it here, really, but it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Similar to the outgoing Regal GS as far as, you know, flat-bottom steering wheel, sportier seats, which, by the way, these sportier seats are fantastic from what I mean, at least the way they sound. They're going to have adjustable lumbar and thigh bolsters. Adjustable bolstering is always good. It's also going to have standard heated cooled and massage seats, standard in this car. And once I tell you the price, you're really going to be amazed. Other things here is that it's going to be, the seats, the massage function will most likely be very similar to the one in the Buick LaCrosse, which I reviewed last year, which is a good massage. It's not amazing. It's not as good as like the CT6 or anything, but still, just the fact they're including that in a car of this caliber is really cool. Also, you know, if you missed all the news on the Regal whenever the normal Regal first came out, it's a hatchback design as well. So those of you that want something a little grown up than a WRX STI, you get same horsepower, all-wheel drive, hatchback versatility, and you get heated, cooled massage seats. I mean, that puts the Subaru interior to shame. Not to knock Subaru. I know I've been kind of doing that a lot recently, but there's a very exciting alternative, and it actually has a WRX STI type price tag. These things are starting at $39,990, including destination, so 40 grand. With destination, you get standard. It seems like everything's just about standard here. You know, it's Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, with a nice touchscreen integration, all that kind of stuff. And it undercuts a lot of its other luxury competitors as well, such as the Acura TLX A-Spec and the Lexus IS350 F Sport. Undercuts both of those by over 5 grand. And so it's going to be in dealerships later on this year, and I really hope this does well for them because it certainly deserves to. I think that's awesome, and I hope to hopefully get my hands on one maybe before the end of this year or early next, because that's a car I'm really curious to try out. Other Regal news here is they announced the pricing for the standard Regal as well, which is also very impressive. It's over $2,000 cheaper than the 2017 old model. So these are going to be starting at $25,915. And I mean, even the regular Regal isn't a slouch. They have 250 horsepower standard, 250 pound-feet of torque from a turbo 4-cylinder. I mean, that's still plenty, and that's really impressive for, you know, $26,000. Also, the Tourex, which is the Subaru Outback competitor, that's going to be starting at $29,995, so 30 grand there for the Tourex, which is a little more expensive than an Outback. You know, but then again, it's probably going to undercut the 6-cylinder Outback. So sure, you can get a 4-cylinder Outback, which is like 10 seconds 0 to 60 or whatever, if you want, you know, for a couple grand cheaper. But for this, again, same 250 horsepower, turbo 4, more room anyway. It's just very, very compelling stuff Buick's doing here. I don't know, I'm just really liking Buick recently. But yeah, so really great news there. Very aggressively priced, and hopefully that helps to move a lot of these things. And so anyway, another vehicle that debuted this week, but we do not get this one here in the States, is the 2018 Mercedes X-Class, the production version. We saw a concept not too long ago, but this is the actual production version. But unfortunately, they've confirmed it is only for Europe, South Africa, Australia, Argentina, and Brazil. Those are the only markets getting it. So the number one pickup truck market in the world, the United States, at least I'm pretty sure we're the number one buyers of pickup trucks. We do not get it. So seems like an odd, you know, thing for Mercedes to do. But then again, what this Mercedes X-Class is a Nissan Navara that's been restyled, rebadged. Obviously, it's heavily, you know, been worked over by Mercedes. This isn't just swapping badges. It obviously looks completely like a Mercedes and not like a Nissan at all. But it is based on a Nissan. Maybe that, you know, Mercedes doesn't have quite as high of a luxury view in, you know, the rest of the world as it does here in the States, especially. You know, they're used as taxi cabs in, you know, other areas of the world, and the trucks are, you know, industrial things and stuff. So, you know, we don't really get a whole lot of those industrial Mercedes over here in the States. So maybe they don't want to soil their reputation here a little bit in the States with that kind of stuff. I don't know. And also, it's probably because all the engines that are going to be in this X-Class would not work in America whatsoever. There's 3 diesel engines and only 1 gasoline engine. And the 1 gas motor that it does have makes 160 horsepower. It's a 4-cylinder in this big truck. And there's also going to be those 3 diesels. 2 of them are turbo 4-cylinder diesels, and there's a 1 6-cylinder diesel engine. And that still only makes 258 horsepower. So again, it's, you know, if they would have put a V8 in this thing and made the interior a little nicer, because it is a little bare bones, you know, compared to what, again, Americans expect out of a Mercedes. You know, if they were to spruce it up a little bit, give it a, you know, more powerful engine, that thing would sell all day. I mean, people are already spending 70, 80 grand on fully loaded Ford trucks and Chevy trucks. So, I mean, you can imagine if you have a Mercedes at the same price point, I think there'd be a lot of people that would probably choose a Mercedes over the American stuff. But yeah, so anyway, maybe they'll bring the next gen version here, you know, to the States. But I think it's a huge missed opportunity there. Anyway, interesting to see that. Some spy shots here this week. A bunch of different vehicles were spied. The first was the BMW Z4 was spied yet again. Again, it shares the same basis with the new Supra. The BMW is a convertible one, and the Supra is hardtop only. And anyway, we get some more details here on the styling of the Z4 now. They've peeled away some of the front end camouflage there, so you can see the grille is much wider than any other BMW in the past 50 years, and really harkens back to the mid-50s BMW Roadsters and whatnot, with that very wide kidney grille there. It looks really cool though, even under the camouflage. You'll also see more cuts in the front bumper there. It's more sculpted. Kind of has a similar type of styling to an F-type front bumper in a few ways there, but looks good, honestly. You know, it looks like it could be a really cool little roadster there. Also in the back, it now has some more finished exhaust tips than the really crude ones that were there before. And we do know that vehicle is basically confirmed to be revealed in September at the Frankfurt Motor Show. So very exciting, and can't wait for that. Another BMW that was spied was the new X5M was spied running around near the Nürburgring there. And it's your typical M treatment. You know, we kind of already have a general idea of what the new X5 is going to look like. That's debuting, I believe, next year. And so the X5M should follow not too soon after that. And you know, looks like your very typical M treatment for the X5s in the past. Very large exhaust tips there in the back, and very aggressive body, styling and stuff like that. And looks very cool. Also, Mercedes was spied running around with their new hot SUV, the GLE63. And so again, looks very much like a GLC 63, honestly, except the larger GLE body style here. And that was spied running around near the Nürburgring as well. So they're right at each other's necks there already, even in prototype phase. And that looks great as well. As far as the output, expect something similar to all the other 63 range AMGs, with high 500s to low 600s horsepower, depending on whether you go for the non-S or the S version. And so anyway, cool to see that. Another vehicle that was spied on the Nürburgring here was the Porsche 718 Boxster GTS. So it's about time for a GTS model there for the new 718s. And the biggest change you'll see there is the front bumper now has that new black arrow piece that almost looks similar to like a Ferrari 458 Italia's front bumper there from several years ago. And that should probably move around to help with airflow, I'm guessing. But looks cool nonetheless, even if it's just done for styling. It's probably going to use the same 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder from the Boxster S, just with a little more power. That's typically the GTS treatment. Although it would be really cool to see them return a 6-cylinder engine here for these, just to give it a little bit of a different sound from the standard Boxsters. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And that vehicle, since it looks fairly far along, we shouldn't have to wait too long. Could be the Frankfurt Motor Show again in September, or Detroit in January is also a place where Porsche has debuted some vehicles early in the year. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Another Porsche vehicle that was spied was the new Cayenne was spied. Lots of German stuff here working on all these performance vehicles is great. So this new Cayenne looks very similar to the old one at first glance. They do have some clever camouflage there on the front headlights and on the back end, so it looks like an older Cayenne, but it's not. It's completely new Cayenne on a completely new platform. It's on the MLB platform now that's shared with the Bentley Bentayga and the new Audi Q7, so it should lose some weight and drive completely different from the outgoing Cayennes. It's also a little sleeker there as far as the roof and stuff. It's not quite as boxy as it has been in the past, and it also looks like they tried to cover it up, but they're guessing that it'll probably have the same taillights that run the entire width of the back end, like the Macan and Panamera and all that kind of stuff. And so that something you could probably expect here. It's a safe bet. And so yeah, they're saying that it should be arriving again towards the end of this year or early next year. This one doesn't look quite as far along as that Boxster, so maybe Boxster will be at Frankfurt, and then maybe this will be the one they'll be debuting in the middle of the winter here in Detroit. We'll have to wait and see, but anyway, cool to see them working on that. And to round out the electric SUVs, Audi was spy testing the all-electric E-Tron Quattro here this past week as well, which this is the first time seeing the E-Tron out spy testing with its actual production body. It looks fairly similar to the other crossover Audi concepts, the Q8 and even the e-tron Quattro concept. Has some similar styling cues, also some stuff you can pick up from, the new A8 there. It looks a little familiar and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it looks pretty good. It's a little more toned down over the concepts, but that's usually the way it goes. And we do know that Audi's confirmed that they are starting production of this vehicle next year. So that's when they're going to start building them. So you could assume this production body that you're seeing here in the camo is pretty far along and should be ready to go soon. So cool to see that out running around. Other Volkswagen Group news is there was a recent automobile symposium event that was going on, and some Volkswagen executives were talking about the Volkswagen ID price. Now, the ID is like the Golf size, all electric hatchback, and it's going to underpin that platform. They're going to stretch out and use for various things like the ID Buzz, which is the new microbus, which they've basically also confirmed in the past here for production, as well as the ID Cross, which will be some kind of crossover or something. And so anyway, the ID, the standard hatchback version, they're saying it's, depending on what reports you hear, some say 2019 to 2020 is when this thing's arriving. Either way, at this event, they were talking about the price for it, and they said that they're aiming for it to be $7,000 to $8,000 less than a Tesla Model 3. Which is a pretty big deal, especially for buyers in those price ranges. That could really swing people one way or the other, especially since the Model 3 is just a typical sedan, and this will be a hatchback and should be much more versatile. Although the Bolt and stuff isn't really selling super hotly either, so who knows? I think Tesla's just on fire because they're Tesla. But anyway, $27,000 starting price estimated, here for this ID would be really cool and would make it, I think, go back to Volkswagen's ethos of the people's car, and this could be the people's electric car. $27,000 car, most people I think can afford, at least here in America and Germany and places like that. So pretty impressive there, and so cool to hear about that. Another car though that sadly is not arriving until about the same time, 2020 or so, is the new Maserati GranTurismo replacement, and also the Alfieri, which is going to be the two-seater version of whatever that is. So Car Magazine is reporting that the reason for this delay is because Maserati's new platform that's going to underpin this vehicle and other future Mercedes or future Maserati products, I should say, that I guess the platform's taking longer to develop than they're expecting, so that's pushed back the development of all this stuff, and so that's why there's this additional delay. And I think that's also why they've probably decided to do this refresh for 2018 here for the GranTurismo, because the new one was supposed to arrive in 2018. And instead, we got this quick little refresh with a front bumper. It looks like an F-Type in a way, and a little infotainment upgrade, and that's it. So so it's fortunate that the very old GranTurismo has to continue on for another couple of years here. But they're saying that at least as far as the design goes, we should get a hint of what the new one's going to look like at least. They're promising a concept that's, they haven't officially promised, but there's a rumor that there's a concept that's going to be shown early next year sometime, maybe Detroit, or probably the Geneva Motor Show would probably be the best guess for that one. And so that's when we can probably expect to see a new Maserati design direction, but the actual vehicle won't be coming until 2020 or so. Two interesting, funny stories from luxury manufacturers here this week, or sports car manufacturers, I should say, for the one at least, is there's a new report about Ferrari. Now, last week I mentioned about how there's the F16X is the code name for the new crossover project that Ferrari is in denial about. There's insiders that are saying this car is being developed, but they're not calling it a crossover or an SUV. They say that it would have four doors, but they'd be hidden and all that kind of stuff, and they'd be based on the GT4 Lusso. We have some more funny details about this vehicle, supposedly. So, according to Max Warburton via Autocar, they were reporting this again. Apparently, Ferrari's planning on calling this thing an FUV, which stands for Ferrari Utility Vehicle. SUV doesn't fit this car, and it's a very Ferrari thing to do, so I totally believe it. We also, like I said about the four-door thing, what the actual quote was, the Ferrari executive Enrico Galleria, he told Autocar recently, "We are not producing an SUV because an SUV is not a sports car. It can be fast, but it's not a sports car. We are not producing a four-door because a four-door can be fast, but it's not a sports car either," is what he's saying. So, denying that it's a four-door SUV, even though it is a four-door SUV that they're making. He says Ferrari has to remain consistent, doing what we know to do, which is delivering cars that are able to deliver emotion, sports cars. So, Ferrari only does sports cars, okay? But they're doing a sports car that's a crossover. They just don't want to admit it. So they also said that, instead of having four doors, it's going to have a clever hidden arrangement so that you don't know there's 4 doors, so it's a hidden thing. So you're driving by, it looks like a 2-door, and they're acting like this is a brand new revolutionary thing, and maybe they have a very cool new system that does hide the doors instead of a typical like suicide door arrangement, or even like some people sort of were suggesting in comments on Jalopnik, like it's exactly like a Mazda RX-8. It has no actual door handle. It's kind of hidden inside there, which makes it very impractical as far as closing the doors and whatnot. But it works, and you don't see, it looks like a 2-door. And even, I mean, some of these extended cab pickup trucks, all pickup trucks, well, obviously, a lot of them have that hidden door there in the back. You open it up and it swings open. Again, this is basic pickup truck technology. Again, Ferrari will hopefully do something a little more advanced and probably more unnecessarily complex as well, just because they want to market this how they want to market it, and more power to them. I still love Ferrari, by the way. They're probably my favorite of these sports car brands. So no disrespect to them. It's just really funny they're in denial. They're making a 4-door SUV when they are. Anyway, another company that's in denial, like I said, some funny stuff here, is Rolls-Royce. So we've been hearing more about this Cullinan SUV is what they're calling it, which is based on the new Phantom, which I'll get to in a minute as the last story this week. But so, they're saying more about the pricing of this vehicle, and saying that since it's going to probably share a platform with the Phantom, it could probably be as expensive as the Phantom, somewhere around $400,000. But Rolls-Royce also doesn't say they're making an SUV. That does not fit a Rolls-Royce. So instead, they're calling it an all-terrain, high-sided vehicle. So I guess you would abbreviate that as ATHSV is what that vehicle is. And so, yeah, but that's Autocar saying that should be shown relatively soon, as early as next year. And that certainly makes sense as well. I'm guessing the Geneva Motor Show is a predictable rollout for that. And so cool to hear about that, though, even if they are in denial, they're making an SUV as well. And the last story is about Rolls-Royce here, and that is that it looks like the new Phantom has leaked out. We got 3 leaked pictures here from an Asian outlet here that has posted these pictures up in the front end. As you can see, looks very similar to the Phantom, the old Phantom, I guess I should say. And I mean, that's typical Rolls-Royce fashion. They're kind of like Porsche in that way, where if you look at Rolls-Royces over the past, 100 years, honestly, they don't look that different, especially in the past 50 years. Once they ditched the round headlamps, they've all kind of had the rectangular arrangement since, I don't know, the 70s or whatever, or the 80s. So not a huge surprise here that there isn't much changes, but the real surprise is on the interior. I would think they would really elevate the interior, but it seems like it's basically very similar to the Phantom. I'm sure it's going to have updated infotainment and probably borrow from the 7 Series again, BMW, because that's what they've done in the past. But yeah, so just kind of interesting to see that. And Rolls-Royce did officially reveal one teaser image of it, which seems to line up with these leaks, which lends some credibility to them that they are real leaks here. But it should be on a lighter new aluminum platform here that is shared with the Cullinan, like I mentioned. And that'll actually be, the new Phantom is going to officially debut next week, July 27th. So very exciting to, we'll be seeing that here officially next week. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. Let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.